The night was silent over the Dnipro River, broken only by the low mechanical hum of something unseen beneath the surface. A Marichka autonomous underwater vehicle slicing through the darkness, carrying 10 KH-7 drones worth just $400 each. Above it loomed a target that no commander dared touch: Russia's $5.7 billion Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant, the largest in Europe and the beating heart of Moscow's energy grip. But on September 6, 2025, that fear was about to be rewritten. This wasn't a brute force strike. It was a surgical, psychological war, one that blurred the line between courage and madness. Ukrainian intelligence had spent months planning this, infiltrating Enerhodar with partisans disguised as maintenance workers, studying shift changes, and locating the nerve center of the plant's operation, a $50 million training facility that controlled digital reactor simulations. Destroy that, and you cripple Russia's control, without ever touching the reactors themselves. But how do you strike what's surrounded by S-400 systems, Krasukha-4 jammers, and anti-drone nets strung tighter than a spiderweb? You use the one weapon Moscow didn't expect: silence. The drones launched underwater, surfacing only once before slipping into the night air. They flew low, just 15 feet above the ground, hopping frequencies faster than radar could lock on, their AI learning mid-flight, adjusting to jamming signals like digital ghosts. One Ukrainian operator nervously joked, "We're sending a PhD in computer science against $1 billion of paranoia." And yet, that joke masked a terrifying truth. One mistake could mean a reactor alert, an international panic, a nuclear shadow cast over all of Europe. As the drones closed in, Neptune missiles roared hundreds of miles away, striking Russian BM-30 Smerch launchers to distract air defenses. Decoy drones swarmed elsewhere, lighting up Russian radar like a Christmas tree. And in that chaos, the real strike began. The KH-7 drones slipped through the defensive perimeter, guided by data relays from Ukrainian partisans who'd quietly cut anti-drone nets the night before. One drone found its target: the training center's server room, glowing with reactor simulation consoles. The final seconds were silent. Then, a blinding flash. A $4,000 explosion that froze a $5.7 billion facility. The power flickered across half the compound. For a moment, it wasn't clear what Ukraine had done. Had they just disabled a digital brain, or had they awakened something far more dangerous? The explosion was contained, but its shockwaves went far beyond Enerhodar. Within minutes, Russian command scrambled to assess the damage. The S-400 crews were confused. Their radar logs showed nothing. The Krasukha-4 units jammed empty air. And deep inside the control room, Russian engineers watched as the reactor interface flickered offline. Not because of an explosion, but because the central data servers, the mind of the system, had been vaporized. Ukraine hadn't triggered nuclear chaos. They had delivered digital paralysis. Think about it. 10 drones, built for less than the cost of a used car, had halted operations at a facility worth billions. It was the ultimate demonstration that in modern warfare, intelligence beats intimidation. Now here's where it gets haunting. This was just 984 feet from the reactor core. The world held its breath, but radiation levels remained unchanged. Ukraine's precision was surgical, deliberate, restrained, terrifyingly smart. This was more than a strike. It was a message to Moscow: we can reach anywhere, even your most sacred ground. But with every successful hit comes a question. How far is too far? What happens when AI drones can decide targets faster than humans? When underwater vehicles can cross entire seas undetected? The line between deterrence and disaster is fading fast. As dawn broke, satellite images revealed a scar, a crater where Russia's nuclear training hub once stood. Social media erupted. Some called it reckless, others called it genius. But one thing was clear: the future of warfare isn't about size anymore. It's about smartness, stealth, and split-second strategy. One Ukrainian officer reportedly smiled when asked if the risk was worth it. A $4,000 idea defeated a $4 billion illusion. Yet even as the dust settled, Russian analysts detected unusual drone activity near another sensitive site in Kursk, suggesting this wasn't the end, but the beginning of a new campaign. And here's where we leave you on a cliffhanger. What if Ukraine's next target isn't a facility, but a fleet? What if the next strike happens not in darkness, but broad daylight? Stay tuned, because in our next episode, we uncover how AI-guided drone swarms may already be rewriting the map of Russian defenses. You won't want to miss it. Click the video on screen now, Ukraine's drones outthink Russia's war machine, and dive deeper into how digital warfare is changing everything we know about power, precision, and the future of survival.